At first, I struggled on how to begin this video, as there was not really an appropriate enough way of saying what has happened. On the 22nd of May, we lost an amazing man by the name of Darren Lee. Everyone here on the channel would probably know him best for his massive contributions to the Alien Awakening animated series, leading originally to its conception and its growth into the project, and supported and cared for by so many that if he were here right now, I think he would be very proud of it. Myself, and more so his friends and his family, will know him for the kind, caring, passionate and loving person that he was to everyone around him. Darren began talking to me around June last year. Originally he began to comment on my videos, and shortly after he wished to help me improve upon my ideas and try and create an explanation to bridge the Alien prequels and the original film. A project that we refer to as the way to save the Alien franchise. We eventually got talking and began to email each other in increasing frequency, talking sometimes twice to 3 times a day at its peak. We talked for hours about our separate ideas and began to form the basis of what we wanted to create. Darren was a true visionary. He was able to craft together a story that was so inventive and interesting that it captured my attention immediately. So work began on the Alien Awakening animated series. We would talk every day. Each time we learnt a little bit more about each other. I learned that he was a family man with a wife and a son. He always spoke very highly and regularly of his family. He told me of how his wife Jana would spend time to read over his work and help him make corrections. He told me how much he loved having her constant support. He also spoke of his son, how much he enjoyed the times he spent entertaining him, and how in turn his son gave him happiness and purpose. I only had months to get to know Darren, but in that time I realised he was an amazing and intelligent man, who was dedicated and passionate to everything he set his mind to. It was only months ago Darren received some terrible news about his health, and the news wasn't good. Most people would give up in situations like this, and I even told him to stop with the project and spend as much time as he could with the people he cared about. Despite this, he fought as best as he could, given the circumstances, and he continued to talk with me. But it became less and less frequent. However, his last conversation with me was an inspiring and humbling one to me personally. Darren told me how he was struggling, and what he had been going through, and how rough some of the times had been. He was thinking of giving up the series and asked me to finish it for him. We began talking it through, and he decided that he would keep working. He told me that the project and story helped him, in his own words, remain positive during the darkest of days. He told me that while he waited in hospitals and appointments for hours on end, that instead of sitting there and thinking about all the terrible things happening, he would jot down material for the upcoming episodes. He said that there was even a time where he was so engrossed in the story that he almost missed his name being called out by the admins and doctors. Darren thanked me. He thanked me in detail for giving him the opportunity to share his ideas with so many people through the use of the Project ACHERON channel. The thing is, though, that his ideas needed to be out there. He was a tremendous writer, and he had an extremely inventive mind. A mind full of tremendous thoughts which I have had the privilege to transform into a medium that I could share with the masses. I can easily say that I have not worked with anyone so devoted and passionate to film and storytelling in my entire life. His contributions to the Alien franchise and the fan base will ripple through the rest of my work, as I will always remember the things he inspired within me to create and the stories he gave me to tell. His commitment in all aspects of his life is phenomenal. His talent, sensational. Both something for anyone to strive for. Sadly, on the 22nd of May this year, Darren had succumbed to his sickness and passed away, leaving behind a loving family and a mass of friends, as well as a legacy that will live on throughout the Alien fanbase and on this channel for as long as I may continue to create here. It was not until weeks after his passing that I had discovered this truth, when I finally got in contact with his wife Jenna. She informed me of what had happened, and I attempted to say as best I could how sorry I was for them all. We talked about him, and I learned even more about him. That he'd travelled the world and loved music. There was nothing I knew that I could say that I thought could do him any justice. No words to express how sad I felt for the loss of someone who had grown to be such a close friend. The only thing I knew that I could do for him right now was to try and take his work that he had poured his heart and soul into and not let that pass with him. I refused to let his contributions lay down with him. I truly believe that you die twice. The first is when your last breath leaves your body, and the second time is the final time that somebody mentions your name. There is absolutely nothing anyone can do to bring him back, but I feel it is my responsibility to keep his work alive. I want to share his stories and work with as many people as will listen. The Alien Awakening animated series was written by Darren. It's his story, and so I intend to share it with as many people as I can, across as many countries as I can, and I promise to keep his dreams alive for as long as I can. But I can only do so much, as it's going to take every single person who watches, comments, and supports the efforts of the project that really keep him alive in all our minds. I want his name immortalised in the Alien world, as well as the fan base that he cared so much about, that he would work to his final days trying to bring back to its former glory. The only thing I ask of anyone watching this is that you check out his story and somewhere, somehow, mention his name and his work, and by simply doing this, you are keeping his memory and his vision alive within all of us. I hope this video could teach you a little more about this awesome guy that I wish I had have got more time to know. Darren Edward Lee was great for a joke and a bit of a laugh. He was very smart, and he was great to chat to both casually and personally, always being positive and supportive. We often talked about family and how important that word was to each of us. I can say with pride that he was the kind of person who has shaped the person I will be moving forward in my own life. Someone I have a great respect for, and someone who was a good friend to me. I have the feeling that most people around him probably felt the same way as I do. My hopes are to allow as many people as I can to get to know him, if it's just from word of mouth. To keep his work alive for as long as I possibly can. I want to give his son something to watch when he's older, and know that so many people thought so highly of his father, and even maybe be able to see a little bit of his dad in his work. The only way I know how to give back to Darren now is through finishing this story he so badly wanted to tell you all. And come hell or high water, I will finish this story. My only regrets are that I couldn't have more time to get to know him better, and that I was never able to say goodbye to him properly, and tell him how much of a good friend he was to me. The following passages contain a poem he wrote shortly before his passing, and the speeches from his funeral that were graciously provided by Darren Lee. I hope you all take the time to read these and learn a little more about him, from his own thoughts and from those of his friends and family. Darren Lee was a family man, loving, caring, enthusiastic about the things that he was passionate about. He was brilliant, and he created a story that will carry his memory forever.